Okay, let's just dive right into this. If you're on the journey of trying to conceive, you already know that week 2 can be, well, easily one of the most exciting and absolutely nerve-wracking parts of your entire cycle. You're probably hyper-tuned into your physical self right now, and honestly, it's such a wonderfully human experience to watch your body that closely, kind of analyzing every little thing. You might be wondering, is that minor cramp, or that slight change in discharge, or just this unusual feeling? Could that literally be the very first early sign of pregnancy? It's an emotional time, for sure, just filled with intense anticipation. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, there's actually a very important and frankly fascinating detail about how the medical timeline actually works that you really need to understand. Which brings us to the big question, right? You're looking at the calendar, you're officially in week 2, so it makes total sense to ask, are you actually pregnant yet? You might be picturing this tiny, microscopic embryo just starting its journey, but the reality of medical timelines sets up a rather surprising twist. And here's the definition that changes everything. Just like week 1, the second week of pregnancy is usually counted from the very first day of your last menstrual period. Now, because of this standard method of medical tracking, which, let's be honest, can feel incredibly confusing and frustrating when you're eagerly waiting for a baby, here's the punchline. That means you may not actually be pregnant yet. In fact, for the vast majority of women, conception hasn't even happened at this stage. There is absolutely no growing embryo, no baby yet. Section 1. The week 2 paradox. When pregnant means preparing. So if there isn't a baby growing just yet, what exactly is going on inside your body to warrant calling this week 2? Well, while your mind is super busy symptom spotting and feeling anxious for early signs of a baby, your biology is quietly shifting gears. See, during most of pregnancy week 2, your period has usually just ended or it's just coming to a close. Your body isn't nurturing a fertilized egg yet. Instead, it's actively shifting from menstruation toward ovulation. It's this time of profound, completely invisible transition. Section 2. Inside the ovaries, the star of the show emerges. Okay, we're gonna go backstage right now, deep into the microscopic world of your biology. Because inside the ovaries, there's this remarkable biological casting call taking place. First up, hormones act as the directors of this play, sending out the initial signals. And in response, multiple follicles inside your ovaries begin to develop. You can kind of think of these follicles as little protective shells, and each one holds a single immature egg. But then, the competition ends. Usually, just one single follicle steps forward from the pack, like a star performer, and becomes dominant. It completely outpaces the rest. And finally, that dominant follicle continues developing at a really rapid pace until the chosen egg inside it is fully mature, basically taking center stage and preparing to be released. Section 3. Rebuilding the uterus. Preparing a welcoming environment. Now, the ovaries aren't the only ones doing all the heavy lifting here. We have to shift our focus over to the uterus, which is hard at work simultaneously. Because as those follicles in the ovary are growing, they are producing estrogen. And you can think of this rising tide of estrogen as an essential messenger, or almost like an architect, rushing over to the uterus to deliver a really critical alert, basically saying, hey, a mature egg is on the way and it is time to get to work. So let's look at exactly how the uterus responds to that architect. Remember, during your period, which just ended, the old lining of your uterus was entirely shed. Now, acting on that new estrogen signal, it immediately begins rebuilding itself. It's almost exactly like preparing a nursery. The uterus is laying down a thick, plush rug and bringing in warm blankets to create a welcoming home. The lining transforms dramatically, becoming significantly thicker and way richer in blood vessels, just to create this lush, nutrient-dense environment. And the ultimate why behind all of this biological construction work is actually pretty simple. Creating a suitable environment for implantation. The uterus is setting a welcoming stage, really rolling out the proverbial red carpet here. And this thickening matters so much because if that egg, the one currently being prepped over in the ovary, is fertilized later in the cycle, the uterus absolutely needs a perfectly prepared, soft, nutrient-rich sanctuary where that developing pregnancy can safely implant and grow. Section 4. The invisible waiting game. Quietly setting the stage. So you're in pregnancy week 2, and while you might not be able to see anything happening at all in the mirror, and you might not feel a single physical symptom, your body is executing a masterful, highly coordinated preparation. I mean, even when you feel absolutely nothing, your biological systems are working in perfect harmony, preparing for absolutely everything. The stage is set, the dominant egg is maturing, and the uterus is ready. So, what happens next?